Good evening and welcome to Real World News. My name is Shara Ann Tappan McCabe, and joining me this evening we have Tony Breedlove, our illustrious producer, and Reggie Kearney, the editor-in-chief of the Urban Sentinel. Here we are back for another season. We had a nice break, but we're back and there's certainly plenty to talk about. As you know, for those of you who've watched us throughout the years, we provide commentary on local, national, and world news. Good evening, Tony and Reggie. Welcome back.
Hey, what's up?
Good evening. Good to be back.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It was a long break, wasn't
It was, but don't blink. It went real fast.
Yeah, we needed it.
it? Yeah, you guys do work hard, and you do put the time in to bring these shows every week, to our viewers and our supporters. So you guys really needed a break, and I was glad to give you one.
Well, we needed to detoxify from all the Trumpisms and whatnot. It's just.
Yeah. So what you guys got on tap for tonight? What's the topic tonight?
Well, while we were all talking a week ago to get ready for tonight's show, and we were discussing how so much has happened since our last show, and there's no end to the selection of topics. We got to talking about immigration and who the country was built for, and I think we picked a good one in light of the most recent racist gaffe done by President Trump. Mm-hmm. Or as somebody I read recently referred to him as the occupant, as opposed to even calling him a president, because he bears none of the qualities that one would expect in a national leader. And so, my thought process with picking this topic was, the country was literally built by immigrants, whether it was voluntary or forced labor. People of color have always outnumbered those of European descent in this country, and yet we've never managed to grab more of the power, whether in government, local, or national. Here you have a president and an administration that is so anti-immigrant, anti-people of color, and it just makes you wonder. Well, it doesn't make you wonder. I think their agenda is painfully obvious, and it's been said before, and I think Nancy Pelosi said it recently. The goal is to make this a white country. I don't know that can happen unless we go full tilt fascism and start exporting even citizens, which we know have happened on a few occasions. But when you look at his immigration policy, what's happening with people of color in this country, what he's allowing in terms of harm to our environment, our water sources, our food, just collectively looking at all of the negative, shit that's happening in this country right now, at what point do we as citizens stand our ground and say, this is enough? What is the threshold? Because I've done reached it. And I don't understand why more people aren't clamoring about what's going on now. Reggie, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know me, I'm a gasoline and match kind of guy.
Way to start the season, Reggie.
Being off hasn't changed my thoughts or ideas. I got to get used to this new platform. I'm trying to stay centered. But we have got to raise our voices and be heard. It amazes me how other countries in Europe and Asia can call for a boycott or a demonstration and the country would show up. I mean, mass numbers of people.
Right.
Here, you can't even get 5 people to go to a rally in D.C. to protest something. I think if we would start exerting our First Amendment rights and really protest hard, and if we had to shut down Washington for a day, shut it down, I think the voices would be heard a little more. Because we know basically what's going on in the White House, or the Klan House, as I call it, is that he's pandering towards his group, his little 30% base, and that's what he's pandering to. So he really doesn't care about what the other 70% feels, And he's been very obvious with that. He showed that, So it's time for us to, we have to wake up here in America, and we haven't done that yet. Yeah, we get on the news and we complain, but we really haven't woke up yet.
Well, what do you think is going to take? Is going to take for people to wake up? I mean, here we are at the um, we're at the worst. I think that this country has been seeing. We're at the absolute worst, where you've got folks locked up in cages. Now, granted, of course, we don't. I don't want to say we don't want everybody to come here, but there has to be a criteria, and I get that. I get that, but that does not mean that you treat people inhumanely.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't.
Mm-hmm.
But we're at right now at the crux of everything that we would think bad of this country. Or if we saw this somewhere else, we would be thinking how deplorable.
Yep.
But we're at the worst that we have seen this country in. So what is going to be enough?
And the complacency of people to sit back, watch the news, go, oh, that's horrible, and then move on with their lives while children are dying from malnutrition or dehydration at the border. And, there's so much misinformation. First of all, as I've said in many shows in the past, the dumbing down of the country was a success. And so now anything that comes out of the occupant's mouth is taken as almost literal gospel. Mm-hmm. And so Steve Miller and Trump and all of them who make these homogeneous statements that all illegals are all people who come here are illegal, who don't go through the standard overly extensively long legal immigration process. But they fail to realize that there is a process at the border for accepting people who are looking for asylum. That's where they go. That's how they do it. That's how it's been done for years. Holding them indefinitely in cages, separating them from their children, throwing away their belongings, letting them die, letting them sleep on concrete. I'm surprised that Mexico and Central America haven't stepped up and said, what the hell are you doing to our citizens?
Well, I don't think that they would step in and say, that we're doing right or wrong by way of their citizens because they have fled their country. They have fled their homeland. So now it's just a point of saying, well, hell, it's your problem now, because they fled their homeland. So why would they step in?
Because when they fled their homeland, particularly those, for example, looking for asylum, they came here seeking asylum through a process that existed before. That process is legitimate. We're not talking about people necessarily climbing over walls and whatnot. I'm sure that exists, but that's not the group I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess I'm just so used to this country historically, probably not now, but historically sticking up for American citizens that travel abroad or expatriate and get treated poorly. I just would expect somebody to give a shit, but it's like both countries or all countries involved see these people as disposable. And that's really disgusting because they're not. They're human beings. And
but still, disposable or seen as disposable or not, there's still the issue. The issue is that these folks are being held in cages for somewhere of upwards of 40 to 50, some 60 days, well
longer.
Over the threshold. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well over the threshold of what they said would be the time period that they would be held, be detained. There is no talk at this point of, are you sending them through the court system to hear their case, if there is a case at all to be made for them being here, when we clearly have a system aligned for asylum?
They're going through the motions.
Them like they're criminals.
They're going through the motions, right? So in some instances, yes, some folks may get a hearing, but they're kicked out and deported a day or two or a week before their hearing is scheduled, and that hearing could be in another state, which they have no way to get to. So on paper, they can say that they're going through the motions and doing what they're supposed to be doing, but they're really not. That, not with the intent of the laws that were put in place for that process and the procedures that were put in place for that process. They're just playing lip service, and they're doing so at the barest minimum because it's obvious on its face that what they're doing is dead wrong, full stop. You know,
I mean,
and
what
I
is
think
the solution at this point? Because now that they're saying, or what I'm hearing is that the number of people that are coming to the borders has now decreased.
it's been decreased for
But,
years.
right, but it's now they're saying that it's extremely decreased, right? But still, what are we doing here? Are we stopping the asylum?
They
Are we
created a bottleneck on purpose so that they can make money in the prisons for profit. That's what they're
Well, they're
doing.
being held in detention centers that are for profit.
And they're building more.
Because from what I'm understanding, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is that these people are actually making $700 a day, a night, on each one of those detainees.
Yep. I think that's more than they claim to make on regular criminals who are in prison,
right?
Who are in prisons for profit. So they're making money hand over fist, while not using money allotted for those detention centers and prisons for medical care, food, clothing, bare necessities. So, I mean, it's just, you know, he created a humanitarian crisis at the border. We've had a decline in people trying to come here illegal or legally through Central America since when Obama was in office. This isn't a new trend. So just like job creation, Trump is taking credit for somebody else's work. But then he adds to that by creating a humanitarian crisis at the border, by creating a bottleneck. It's just all around disgusting. And when you think about the contributions that immigrants have made to this country, you know, I get doing background checks on people to make sure that you're not letting in criminals. I appreciate that. I think that's wonderful. I would suspect that 9 out of 10 people, if not, you know, aren't criminals. Families with their babies aren't criminals. And when you look at, there was a quote, and I wish that I'd copied it, but it said something like, once you close the borders and discontinue all immigration, that will be the end of this country. We even have, somebody even said that, you know, there is a decline in the birth rate in this country. So bringing in immigrants actually helps our economy. But we're so, you know, we're so busy being led by the nose by all the isms and catchphrases that this administration is throwing out in order to pluck at the primal heartstrings of people who are xenophobic and racist at best.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Reggie?
Well, y'all looking at it from the wrong viewpoint. Okay, it's not about immigration. It's a political move. The more people of color you have in this country, it's going to lessen that power base as far as votes are concerned for the Republican Party. You got to realize the white population is in a decline. Okay, so if they let the immigrants in and they swear allegiance to this country and they're able to vote, that's going to dilute that voting power. Okay, it's all about remaining in power. That's why Trump is pushing this white nationalism crap as much as he pushes it. Okay, you know, so the bottom line is you limit the amount of people of color that are coming into the country to maintain your voting base. Okay, and you do it any way you can to you do what you got to do to accommodate that, to complete that scenario. And so what he's doing, eventually, after his cronies make enough money, they're going to ship these people back to their home countries. And I pity the children because a lot of children have been taken away from their parents. They don't know where their parents are, and they are even allowing these kids to be adopted now or placed into foster care homes.
But how is that even legal?
It's kidnapping.
Because the parents don't even have notification.
Look at the administration, okay? Anything goes in this administration. You take a guy, the nut was going to try to backdoor the Supreme Court on the question on the census question, whether or not you're a citizen of the United States, okay? He was willing to go that far. You know, you see, this country is moving into a direction, okay, the Republicans fuss about not wanting socialism to take root in this country. When you have the nut in the White House moving this country to authoritative type of government, okay? So what he's doing, he's putting things into place, and we are asleep, and we don't realize it, only a few of us realize it, what he's doing, okay? So what does he do? He criticizes everything to get himself into position to make his move. Okay,
Mhm.
and he's hoping that if he can get a second term, he can really push down on the Constitution. So we've got to start making moves to make sure everybody's registered to vote and encourage people to go out and vote in those states that are red, in those states where he might carry the electoral college votes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, to Tony, earlier in the show, you asked what's it going to take for the rest of the country to wake up, as Reggie says. And I really feel it's going to be something particularly over the top, like declaring martial law or something like that. Once folks realize that this is, you know, on the tip of the iceberg, we see the first groups that are being hit: people of color, elderly, vets, people with disabilities, and people who are considered outside or other from the Anglo-Saxon, I guess, European ancestry. And then, but after they finish getting sort of passive approval from part of the population and how this group is treated, they don't realize that they're on the other side of this. They're the next level down on this pyramid, and they're going to suffer from the militarization of the police force or martial law or a coup or whatever happens in this country if we keep going in the direction that we're going in. They think that they're insulated from this, and they're not. Absolutely not. And it is inevitable that it will affect them as well. I think we're just the low-hanging fruit that are getting it first.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see how far this is going to be pushed. I'm really interested to see how far it's going to be pushed. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It is completely heartbreaking to know that, you know, children are being separated from their parents. And then, like you say, some are being adopted out, some are being put in foster care with...
Or trafficked.
Yeah, or trafficked. And speaking of trafficking, you know, I want to switch real on the trafficking issue because of Jeffrey Epstein or Steen, whatever, who gives a shit. But I want to switch horses in a bit. Yeah. But I want to switch to the latest, the tweet. Yeah. The tweet by the twit. Him attacking these 4 freshmen in government, telling them to go back to where they came from if they want to see change or make change. Where do you think that puts this country right now when we're looking at when we're on the cusp of making a decision for a new head of our state? I mean, where does this put us? How do you...
It puts us at the bottom. Again, he's trying to make an authoritarian move to gain control of the government, okay? Mm-hmm. As long as he can get he's got 30% of the backing, okay? He needs another 25% to really be successful, okay? All these things he's doing, first of all, when the last time you heard anything about Iran or North Korea in the last couple of days? You haven't, okay? He uses all this stuff to deflect stuff away from him, okay? You're talking about the Epstein case. There's a lot of evidence out there for this case. No one knows what is in those pictures, okay? No one but the FBI and the federal government. Barr doesn't want to recuse himself from this case because recusing himself from this case will limit his knowledge of what's going on in the case. It's all about protecting the idiot in the White House, okay? And that's what they're doing. So what he's doing, he's making moves by criticizing. He's always criticized women of color. If you remember, he criticized a reporter at the White House about a year ago. He called her stupid, okay?
Yeah.
No outrage, a little bit of outrage from the black community, but nothing real earth shattering. Okay, he comes along this time. He's criticizing 4 women of color. There's some outrage, but not a whole lot of outrage. Okay, the day inauguration comes along, he doesn't show up in inauguration, and he's done locked himself up in the White House. Everything everybody said in the past that you had to take heed and wake up, it's going to be too late.
Yep.
He enjoys the company of dictators like Putin, little chubby boy from North Korea. Okay, him and the president of China really don't get along. So
right,
it's out. But he enjoys the guys, that go around killing people, killing journalists, and all that kind of stuff. That's what he enjoys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
unfettered power is what he wants, and he sees
right.
that they have it. Tony, in response to your question, one of the thoughts that I had was, if in your mind a judge of Mexican descent can't rule on your case fairly because he'll be, unfairly influenced by his hereditary, then how can a president of German descent make any comment about what defines racism?
He can't.
I know. Full stop. He can't.
I mean, that's
Kelly,
the end of that question. I mean, in that response.
Did you see what Kellyanne Conway did?
You know what? I haven't watched the news today. Was this something that happened today?
It happened today. I think it happened today. And so the reporters are speaking to her, asking her, how could Trump make this racist comment? Or do you think it's racist? And of course, her position is no. And while she's answering, she turns to the reporter and says, "What ethnicity are you?" And he says, "How is that relevant?" And she goes, "Well, because I'm asking."
But how is that relevant?
I know. It's like, talk about the height of privilege. Just because you're asking doesn't mean you're entitled to the information or that it's relevant. But that's the regime that we're dealing with right now. Everything is based on ethnicity, and that determines the level of respect that they will give you. Hey, Barbara.
Oh, dear Lord.
He's going to tolerate us black folks, okay? And they can't run all the people of color away because the economy will collapse, okay? But he's making moves here in Washington to dilute the employment base of the federal workers here in D.C. by moving agencies out of D.C. Into states that are basically Republican states, red states, trying to create jobs in other parts of the country. But the real reason is that the majority of the positions held here in federal government here in D.C. are held by people of color, by African Americans.
Right.
So what best way to tame us and get us out of these high-paying jobs? You move the jobs, and you put a stipulation with it. If you want to keep your job, you got to move to these new areas. There's coming out of agriculture. There's a agency moving to Kansas City. There's another one going to be moved next year. So he's doing things like that. The thing about it, you got to control both branches of the legislation to gain power. Just having Congress isn't enough. You got to have the Senate too. And until we get both in play, the Republicans are going to stop everything. They're not going to allow anything to happen. And that's basically what's going on.
Egads. I just wanted to stop.
Have you had enough, Tony?
I have. I really truly have. When I turn on the news in the morning, and I can't even say I turn on the news. I watch MSNBC all day, all night. I mean, it's on all the time, right? But when I turn it on at the start of a day, I am more than disgusted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more than disgusted because I never thought that as I had grown into an adult that I would see such discord and such hatred. I mean, we know that it was there. It was underlined. It was there. But when it comes from the top and it's from the commander in chief, who is someone who is there to run this country, that people are supposed to look up to, our children are supposed to aspire to be, then it's disgusting to me. My stomach lately has turned because all I'm hearing is about the immigration issues, people being locked in cages. And I think the most that has stuck with me over the last few days, and I keep going back on it, I can still hear it playing in my head, is when Pence took a visit to the detention camp. And someone asked, well, don't you want to hear what some of these people have to say? They're saying that, these are the conditions. This is what's going on. And that bastard said, his response was, why would you believe him? When we're looking at it,
a good Christian man supposedly says this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am purely disgusted. My stomach aches behind this shit.
And how people don't see the correlation between what has started over the last couple of years and how it started in Germany. I don't understand how they don't see the similar paths that this man is taking.
Oh yeah.
And that we people ask, when they're studying history, and I remember in history courses, people would say, well, why did people let this happen? And we see now how this happens.
Right.
We don't take to the streets like they did in Spain or in Paris, or even in Venezuela. We're just too spoiled.
But I don't even think. But see, there's something else that could make this okay. There's something else, and we just haven't heard it yet.
Obama comes back?
I wish.
Somebody's got to clean up the mess, because even if he gets kicked out of office tomorrow and for some reason they find that Pence and everyone else down the line is complicit and they're not eligible, or let's say we had a new president tomorrow, there is such a, can I do it? Can I curse on your behalf, Tony? Clusterfuck of shit that has to be cleaned up. That has to be, sorry, Reggie, that has to be cleaned up. It would take the first 4 years to clean up the mess that he's created.
And speaking of clusterfuck of shit, sorry, Reggie. Tell me what you think about Epstein. Do you think that, I know that they got it right. Let's see if they get it right with those who are involved in the extension of Epstein. Do you think that all of the names will start coming out, whether it be Republican or Democrats?
They'll drop Democrat names. They won't drop Republican names.
We're not going to drop any names. He's going down by himself. Him and R. Kelly going to be sharing a cell together.
That would be nice. I just don't see it happening. I have no faith in this administration whatsoever.
He's got, somebody got to take the fall. He's going down, okay? Epstein's going down because they got to protect all the other people, okay? That's just the bottom line of it.
I want them to get that woman who was helping him get children. And
she was a madam.
Let her reduce her sentence by outing everybody that was involved.
Yeah.
But you know what I find interesting is that over the course of the weekend, I don't know if you guys saw my posts I had posted about, why isn't it that the things that Trump has done, say even in the connection of, sexual abuse and rape and all of the, why no one's talking about it, why the media hasn't taken hold of that. In that post, I included an attachment, and it was a link to the court documents. Did you happen to see that, Jared, or Reggie?
I think I saw something, and but I don't know if it was your email or someone else. I think it was a log of people who got on Epstein's boat or his plane, but I don't remember if that was yours or somebody else's.
Yeah, I ended up posting, it's the actual court doc of Epstein when the lawsuit had come against he and Donald Trump. And it named Epstein, Trump, the Maria, the madam. It had one name of one victim, and the other one was listed as, I think, Sarah Doe or something like that, because she was going under a pseudonym. I took the opportunity to send a message to Joy Reid of MSNBC, because I want answers. And you asked me if I've had enough. Yes, I've had enough. Now I'm starting to challenge our media. But I wrote that message to her with the sole purpose of making sure that you can tell me why Trump's name has not come out in association with Epstein, even at this level of him being charged federally with trafficking.
Well, I mean, they've muddied the waters so much. First, you had the whole fake news mantra that allows Trump supporters to just sort of gloss over anything that's negative about Trump and assume that it's false or lies. And then the second thing is how Barr and Mueller obfuscated the process of calling the president out by that question of whether or not you can hold a president accountable while he's in office. So I think that that's also tied their hands. It's complicated things a little bit more than it might have 8 years ago, 10, 12 years ago.
I mean, you can holler fake news all you want to, but if there is clear documentation and there are court documents that show that he has been complicit with Epstein in the rape of a 12-year-old.
Do those documents prove that?
Pardon?
Do those documents prove that?
Yes. They have the discovery and everything.
Yeah, well, all I can think of is what I told you. Otherwise, there's no reasonable explanation for it whatsoever.
Right. But see, my question was to Joy Reid of MSNBC is, because those court docs are under state jurisdiction, the state of New York, then why doesn't federal Trump state in that case? Because now we've got a standing court case of trafficking, sex trafficking, by the same person who is named along with Trump in this court doc. Why hasn't anybody talked about that?
But they're not going to talk about it because of the simple fact you can't do nothing to the idiot right now, okay? Now, you might be able to go after him when he comes out of office, but right now you can't do nothing to him. You can bring all the charges you want against him, but they're not going to go to the White House and arrest him. They're not going to be served up, okay? So he knows that. That's why I said Barr would not recuse himself from this case, because Barr's previous law firm was a law firm that took care of him. You know, so what? There's nothing in it but to keep the idiot covered for right now. That's why I said Epstein is going down by himself, okay?
But there's no statute of limitation. So when Trump gets out of office, you can't say that Epstein is going down by himself, because hopefully, okay, with all hope, Trump is not going to regain another term. And if that is the case, then don't you think that it would be smart, or don't you think that it would come out at some point that his name is in this state court document charging him of rape?
What document? The lost document, which is going to end up being anyway going to be a lost document.
It's out there.
It's not going to be there eventually, because somebody from the Justice Department is going to go in and take the whole file, okay?
Well, I have it on my computer now.
And the men in black, the men in black will come get it off your computer.
Who?
Look, let me tell you, money and power speaks here in America. Okay. The only reason it took Bill Cosby down was because the majority of the women were white. Okay. And basically, white America was tired of Cosby. Okay. So they took him down.
Yeah, but the majority of victims of Trump were white women, and they didn't care.
Exactly.
And they don't care. Okay. Period. They don't care. It's the idiot. They don't care. His base supports him. Okay.
Well, let me paraphrase
He
that. It's not that they don't
denies,
care. Women don't
he
matter.
denies everything. He denies everything. Okay. Cosby case, you had a guy getting elected prosecutor who wanted to get a badge, a Boy Scout badge on his shoulder. Okay. Case was closed. He comes back and opens it up. Okay. It's a black man. Okay. In white America. Okay. You got an idiot white man in the White House in white America, and they're not going to touch him. Okay.
I think that
Look, if they were going to touch him, they would never voted him in.
they would have voted him in just to get all of this bullshit done that they wanted done, so they could blame him.
This is the thing. They never going to blame him for nothing. Those racist white crackers won't even testify against him. Won't even comment on the fact that he told women of color to go back to their country. Okay. So why in the world are they going to all of a sudden be happy when he's gone? Okay.
Look, I don't even think they like him.
They love him.
But I do think that they love the fact that he is pushing through their agenda. Look, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree Trump is a blithering idiot with the reading capacity of a third grader, if that at best. These aren't his agendas. He supports them. He agrees with them. As long as these people stroke his ego, he'll do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to have much use for him. Once he's hit that threshold of what they need somebody in that level of office to accomplish on their behalf, he's done, unfortunately for him. But I don't think I don't even think Steve Miller likes Trump.
Oh, he loves him.
Shit. I'm sorry, y'all.
That's
I'm
my
going
sister.
through the comments. Colleen Rivet, she said, met him once and he was a womanizing pig. Well, you know what, Colleen? He's a fucking pig now. Not a was, he is. Yeah. He is. Colleen, I wish you'd come on camera with us because I got some questions.
But just to go ahead, Bridget.
The thing about it, we have got to make the move ourselves as citizens of this country, okay? We have got to speak out more and we got to do more. Reverend Barber cannot do everything by himself.
Right.
And if you look at, and black folks are sitting around here sleeping, okay? Let's be honest. If you look at, videos of Reverend Barber preaching at different churches or protesting in different areas, who's missing from the group? Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whites are supporting every move that Reverend Barber makes. A handful of blacks are participating, but the majority of the community are the white liberals that are supporting us and looking out for our butts. But we go to work and we go to sleep. We don't even look at the news.
Well, I stopped looking at the news before bed because it's, I've already got like perpetual acid reflux since he won office. So I can't go to bed with that toxicity in my head. But to join some of these topics together, between what Trump is doing with the country and with the whole Epstein Barr, not Epstein Barr, what's that guy's name? Epstein and Barr, for that matter. There is clearly a war on women in this country as well. And, with the abortion legislation that's going on, with rapists being given the right to prevent somebody from getting an abortion if they want, rights for parental rights. So basically, it's a free-for-all. If some incel mofo likes a woman across the street and rapes her and impregnates her, he is, depending if he's what state he's in, has the ability to be in her life for the rest of that child's life.
Her life and that child's life.
Unless she gives the child up for adoption or says, here, You want to be in the child's life, you have this child, which is a hard thing, I think, for any woman to do. It's just, there's so many fights and battles going on at the same time. It's difficult to know where to focus our efforts because we're all under attack.
Yeah.
Well, you better focus your efforts on trying to make sure this food don't get back in the White House. Okay.
That's why we're here.
Now,
Well, one of many reasons.
Yeah.
And you got to do that because, like I said, that everything he's doing now is a calculated risk to get his base to support him and get him back in the White House. And he's going to play this color card out to them, you know. And he's going to use it. He's going to play this racism and racist card to the hill. Okay.
It's disgusting. It is disgusting.
You know,
I am
the question today was, people are coming out supporting your response on Twitter. The white nationalists are supporting your comments on Twitter. How do you feel about it? Oh, everybody likes what I'm saying. He would not come out and say nothing negative against white nationalism. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think him and David Duke are butt buddies. Okay, because he won't even come out. David Duke said the other day that him and Trump have the same ideas. That Trump speaks the same wording and language he wants to speak. Okay. You know
what? Okay, what gets my britches a little bit though is all these people who are supporting his comment about leaving the country.
They're racist.
Yeah, of course they're racist, but they didn't leave the country when they didn't like Obama and what he was doing.
But but look, a lot of them probably felt the same way the idiot feels right now. Okay. One thing you got to understand. Okay, let's say a few of the Republicans aren't racist. Okay, but the problem is their community, their districts. If they come out against the idiot, they're not going to win the next time around. They're going to put another idiot in that place to go to Washington. Okay.
We're going to need to keep vetting these folks, just like we vetted David Duke and Judge Bork, who was recommended.
Right. I think the vetting process is dead. I mean, because
what does it do?
We are not fighting hard enough against this white nationalism BS.
Mm-hmm.
We have rolled over and accepted it. Oh, it's going to go away. It's not going away. Pandora's box has been opened and it will stay open. Racism will never die until the third or fourth of our generation comes along and they all live in love and harmony. Okay. You still got some of these idiots living from the bygone years are still living, like Mitch McConnell and all his little few ancestors are still living. Racism will stay around and it will be around. It will be around. It'll be a part of our society and our fabric.
You know, I listened to Trump speak, and when he uses these homogeneous comments like everybody loves this, everybody likes that, you know, it's like, number one, Ocasio and the other representatives don't hate the country. They despise you. And you are not synonymous with the country, sir, no matter how narcissistic you are. And number two, all these people who are saying they should have left the country if they're not happy with the way things are, if that's their philosophy and that's their answer, then why the hell didn't they get out while Obama was in office? And you know what also concerns me deeply is that every year there is more and more activity on the white supremacist fund. We now have 1,000 or more recognized white nationalist organizations in the country, more than existed 6 years ago. Couple that with the refusal to enact common sense gun legislation and the whole stand your ground business. There's a part of me that feels like there's an aspect of the government that wants a civil war and wants to make sure that all these people are armed for it.
But see, you know what? I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you on that, because what other reason do you have, or these folks have, for letting things go on and to cause so much hatred and dissension and, you know, and putting things back on course to the 50s and 60s? What other reason would there be?
Because they wanted white America again, okay?
Yeah, but hopefully, I think that they hopefully think that as soon as black folks get or start to arm themselves, as soon as Hispanics and Asians starts to arm themselves, I think that they believe that we will kill each other.
We're gonna kill them. Well, excuse me, but we're gonna
Peace, brother. Peace.
kill them. Okay, look. Yesterday in Italy, they arrested a white wing group, members of a white wing group in Italy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
them idiots had a surface-to-air missile that was armed and ready to go. Okay, now who's not to say that some idiot here in this country or group of idiots don't already have some stockpile of some sophisticated weaponry in this country, okay? You gotta remember there are racists in the armed forces, okay?
Of course there are.
And who's to say that someone isn't stockpiling crap around this country to try to keep the idiot in office once the idiot is voted out of office, okay? Those are the things we got to be concerned with. If it can happen in Italy, it can surely happen here in the United States.
I think it might be just a little harder to happen in the United States. And
Why?
I think we're bigger.
Why?
You've got different states who are.
Why?
I'm talking. I'm telling you why. Do you not hear the words coming out of my mouth? You know, each state is a little different from the next, and so I think what you'll wind up. I mean, when you really think about it, the United States of America is really just 50 some odd countries united together on this side of the continent. You know, there's a slightly cultural difference and a psychological difference between each state. And some will want to go red, some will want to go blue.
Miss Tappan, the National Guard.
Now she's mistapping.
And manipulation of forms. You can manipulate the supply numbers on any base or in any warehouse, okay? You can manipulate those, okay? Years ago, they did have an incident where some weapons were stolen from one of the bases, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It can be done. So we can't take anything for granted and take it off the table. Blue, red.
Oh, no, people will do it. I just don't think it will be one homogeneous group in the country taking over the entire country. There's too much diversity here for that.
Let me tell you something. Watch the little idiot. Watch him have to go in and drag the little idiot out of the White House after he loses the election. Okay.
Yeah, he'll be clinging to his pea-colored curtains.
Yeah, like Barbara says, the little idiots in the South are ready. Okay, they go out into the woods on weekend and practice, do war maneuvers and stuff. Okay, it's known. I tell you something, if they bring back the radical Black Panther Party, these white folks would wake up. And half the stuff you see going on there will stop going on. Because they don't want us to arm ourselves. They don't want us to become violent. And they lose control over us, okay? They don't want that. But see, the problem is, okay, and I'm going to put it out there. There are a lot of radical, crazy, idiot white folks out here that are not afraid to try to maintain that status quo here in this country, okay? Mm. We as Black Americans live in the nice neighborhoods now. We can drive a Maserati or a Bentley, and we tend to forget the struggles that our parents and grandparents went through, and that history can repeat itself again. Yeah. So we just said, well, we're gonna vote him out. We're gonna vote him out next year. We'll be all right. We'll get him voted out. But look at the damage he's gonna do before then.
I've been saying that for the last 2 years, and that's assuming that all these folks will still have the ability to vote. When you look at what various states have been doing to block that ability and disenfranchise people. You know, I've been saying it from day one, from the minute he really showed his colors and his agenda, that my concern was we can't afford to wait until the next election. You know, as more states make it more cumbersome and more difficult. Didn't one state pass a law that said you can no longer bus people to the voting polls? So you can't get a bus full of people and help
that was Georgia, wasn't it?
I think it was Alabama with the lady.
Well, what kind of sense does that make?
or Georgia, yeah, when they tried to go to the voting poll and they told them to get off the bus.
Exactly. They said that they could not bus people in because it was almost like you are encouraging them to vote either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's a whole lot of BS going on here in America, but we are asleep to it. You know, it's like, okay, you know, 2020 come, I'll go to the polls, but the preparation, like in states like North Carolina now, there has to be a strong voter registration right now because they got about 700,000 African Americans in North Carolina that not even registered to vote.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then after you register to vote, you got to get them to the polls. You know?
We're in a mess.
Yeah, we are.
We are in a
Steaming
mess.
pile. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that you, Chara, who wrote that?
I did write something. Did I do that?
I know. But you know what, Reggie, I tend to agree with you a lot when you say, you know, you're the match in the gas can kind of guy, because that's the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because it pushes you to that level of anger where you actually could.
Yeah.
And I think that with everything that we're seeing today, I think that is what it's doing. It's pushing people.
Yeah.
It's pushing us against the norm of who we are.
Yeah. And the thing about it, it's pushing us against each other, and that's what the idiot wants.
Yeah. Yeah. Divide and conquer.
Yeah. He wants us sniffing at each other. He wants us calling each other racist and talking about racism. That's what he wants.
Exactly. You know,
like I said, what have you heard in the news about him in the last couple of days other than his tweet?
Nothing.
Nothing on the international level. Nothing.
Nothing. He has not signed anything into legislature because he is on the Twitter box constantly, causing discord and just hatred. Mm-hmm. That's what he's pushing.
He did sign something recently, and I'm trying to remember what.
Was it something that would sign him out of office?
No, it was about reducing EPA. It was about reducing EPA regulations, of course.
They might as well just get rid of EPA.
Yeah.
Might as well get rid of EPA. The EPA ain't doing nothing but letting everything go.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know what bothers me though, like you said, both of you said, this divide and conquer mentality. No better thing was implemented by the imperialists than that, because talk about set it and forget it. You put a caste system in place, you have people fighting for resources, you don't have to maintain that system anymore. Every once in a while you can tweak it just to make sure people keep fighting amongst themselves, but we maintain that system ourselves now. And I think that what I really wish would happen is, just like I wish Americans as a whole, regardless of creed, religion, or color, would stand up as a whole and march or cry out against the injustices that are going on right now. I wish that our advocates, our white advocates, would stand up and make themselves known loud and clear as well, because I want our listeners to be clear. We're not here on the show saying that all white people in this country are bad. All white people have to go. Not. You know, and it's just those that are supporting of this nationalist, nativist, white supremacist, racist bullshit, and those that passively sit by and let it go on and poo-poo it like it's not a big deal.
Right.
You know, right. and it's upsetting when I have to call somebody out and say, look, you know, I've known you for years, but at this point I have no choice but to say you are a closeted racist if this is how you feel. Right. And it's really depressing to see that and to admit it and acknowledge it. And we're all affected by that on a daily basis with people in our circle.
I'm just afraid of where it's going. And it's not that I am afraid to fight or buck the system as fucked up as it is. Sorry, you guys.
Yay.
What I'm afraid of is I'm afraid of the loss that will occur when this gets even deeper. That's what I'm afraid of.
The thing is that all these racist politicians will go home once they plunder the government and the economy takes a free fall, okay? then they're not going to want to have anything to do with government or nothing like that, okay? Because they eventually, because they're spending money so fast, they can't even make it quick enough to replenish the coffers, okay? You know, and so this country is headed into probably eventually another recession.
Yeah.
Because they're just spending money left and right. They're just letting the debt ceiling go up. And sooner or later, that has to stop. And when it stops, the country's going to go into a recession. Then you won't see none of them then.
Yeah.
You know, because they'll run.
I don't know. We have got to. I'm not going to say we've got to do something, but the only thing that I can say is that getting out to vote is going to be the start. Okay, it's going to be the start. And I don't believe that not one of us, and I'm saying beyond the three of us, not one of us in this nation should be giving up the fight.
Mm-hmm.
We work hard. We take care of our families. We live a nice, clean life. You know, our moral compass is in place. Our value system is set in place. But yet we will stand for our government, who we elect into office. We stand for our government to put us in these situations and to put us in these holes that basically say, you know what, I'm going to fuck with your life and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, I say you're wrong, because we put you in office.
Well, we technically didn't put the schmuck in office, but I get you.
Well, I didn't put that mother in office.
Yeah. Caught yourself there. You know, like Serena Williams says, the day we stop fighting for justice and equality for all in this country is the day we're in our grave. Thank you very much.
Thank you for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for saying that. But we've got to be, I think, a little bit more diligent in standing up for what we believe in. I mean, we can sit there and we can watch MSNBC and CNN all day long and bitch, moan, and complain to the television set. But if we're not doing our just part, then we can't expect for them to take us serious.
Mm-hmm.
We can't expect for any change. That's the way I look at it. So
well, we have to start taking ourselves more seriously as well. You know,
right.
Pull up our friggin' pants, finish school, take advantage of the things we do have access to now while we still have them, and follow the examples set by our forefathers in the 40s, 50s, 60s, who worked through even tougher situations and met with more success in their lives than our peers do now.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's a whole nother show right there.
So write it up there.
Let me just say one thing. Not trying to be racist on my end or supporting racism or having a black racist or black racism. But I'm in the city every day and I see what's going on in our neighborhoods, okay? And I see the people who work for me and the people who don't work for me, okay? Granted, immigration is probably needed to get a lot of things done, to have workers and stuff, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But we have given up so much in the black community by not trying to fight for these jobs, okay? You know, we have rolled over and allowed the Hispanic community to come in and take our jobs, okay?
And that's why they fight so hard to be here.
Yeah, because they know there's certain jobs that we don't want.
Nobody's going to do.
Then when it comes down to my bills get paid, if I got to dig a ditch, I'm gonna take a shovel and start digging a ditch.
Thank you.
I would dig all day long.
Although if it's you, Reggie, I might ask who you're digging that ditch for.
I don't care. If digging a ditch will keep my lights on, keep my house paid,
yeah,
I'm gonna dig a ditch.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
what peeves me so much is that you tell these young black men and black women to take a job. You work your way up the ladder. One day you might be president of McDonald's. Yeah. You might be president of Arby's. But you got to start somewhere. If you got to be the fry cook, cooking fries, do that.
But you know what, Reggie? I agree with you. I agree with you because young people don't want to put in the hard work. Yeah. But I can't even say, because, I talk to a lot of people a lot of times. And it's not just black kids. It's kids in general today. They don't have a work ethic that you can't even throw a stone at and hit it. They don't have a work ethic. It's
they're
not
just
black
entitled,
kids. It's
entitled.
board.
Yeah.
You know, and I see this every single day.
Yeah. And like you, I interview every day too, Tony. And I meet some kid who's got 4 years of work experience and expects to get paid $200,000 a year.
Exactly.
And it's not happening. I'm sorry.
Our young kids, you know, they come into the restaurant, they cussing, they fussing, and customers looking at me like, "What you gonna do to them?" I mean, it's just a constant thing. If you say something to them, they cuss you out.
Yeah.
You know, they have no respect for older people no more.
There's a little bit of a lost generation.
And this is a problem. Yeah. The idiot in the White House and the other idiots he surrounds himself with knows the plaque. They know what's going on in our community.
But we have to correct it though, Reggie.
Look, you can't correct it. When you try to correct something, look, when I talk to a young person, the first thing I say, I don't go at them hard. They cuss. I say, "Excuse me, young fella or young lady. Okay, let's not cuss." They'll look at me. "Okay, sir, we won't do it." Okay, you got to treat them with kid gloves.
You know what? I'm just not. I think a lot of people that watch this show and have known me over the years, I don't do kid gloves.
Yeah, but you got to.
I know.
You have to a certain extent.
Why?
You have to. They're not your kids. Okay, go where I'm.
You got that right.
The parents will come beat your butt. Okay.
I've had several of them come to me and say, "Oh, I'm so glad you said what you said."
You're different. So we ain't talking about you, Tony.
Okay? You know what, look.
But the thing is, we got to figure a way to get to our young people and let them know that, hey, they're the next generation coming up. And they got to do better than what they're doing in order to get everything in order to change this country. Okay. And if they don't change their ways, this country will never change.
Yeah. Like I said, you can't be afraid to say anything. I sit with young people all the time. Look, I had this applicant a couple of weeks ago, right? And I know he probably wanted to shit a brick when I finished with his ass. Okay. So and folks I work with, they like, "I can't believe you say that." That's just who I am. Yeah. But he came in and I interviewed him. And I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So I gave him a call, asked him, okay, well, you got this, and this, and you're doing this, that, and the other. And that's what I was calling him for. So when he saw my number come up, I'm sure, and I said, "Hello." And I always address everybody, Mr. or Miss or Ms. I don't use first names. That's the way I address people, young and old. And I said, "Mr. What's up, Ma?"
You do look like my mama.
I beg your pardon?
Look like my mama.
I thought, what the hell? And I lit into him. I said, "I'm not your ma. I'm not your mama. I'm an employer. If you want to succeed in whatever it is that you need to do, you got to change your attitude." I said, "Because see, I can hang up now and I'd be done with you. I don't have an issue with being done with you. And you go give that ma stuff to somebody else." And he calmed it down. Next time I saw him, he said, "How you doing, Miss Breedlove?" "I'm fine, sir. How are you?"
At least you got that response. I had this father call in my office a number of times asking to help get his daughter an internship. An opportunity opened up and I called her in. Lovely young lady. She's doing filing and organizing. I walk by her and we allow people to wear headsets in the office if they're zoning out because it's a bullpen. It can get really loud. But I walk by her desk and she is truly watching a video on her phone while she's organizing. So I stopped her and I said, "You can't do that. I know that it may be monotonous, but you're an intern and that's the kind of work you're going to get through this quicker. And maybe we can give you something more interesting. I need you to focus on what you're doing. You could listen to a podcast or you can listen to music, but you cannot watch video." Don't you know, I walked by her 2 days later. She was doing the same thing. I was like, this girl is testing me.
Exactly.
Testing me. That's yeah. I'm yeah. That I'm gonna call her Papa. I'm gonna call her Father, the one who worked so hard to give her the opportunity. But you know, I allowed one other person in the office because she heard somebody who reports to me heard me say this girl's testing me. Today's not the day. She goes, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me talk to her because I was going to say I was going to go off on her breed love style, but she's like, no. Let me talk to her first. You know, as somebody who's not above her, but you know, a fellow employee, and see if I can get her to see some reason. I was like, if I see that girl on the phone one more time, I'm going to have to fire her. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, but see, the problem is that, you know, I think because, and Jacqueline says it on her post that I have up, but she says parents aren't who they are anymore, and they are distracted with their phones and reality shows as well. And I do get that. And I think that the African proverb is that it takes a village, and I still hold on to that. Mm-hmm. And if someone comes into me, or if I run into someone in the street or whatever, and I see that there's a little bit of, that stuff going on, I don't have a problem saying it. I don't come off to you like I'm afraid of you. I don't come off to you like, you're intimidating to me, because that's what they want. Mm. But the problem is that if we don't address it, if we do not address it, it's going to keep going. But then when you address it, you have to tell them why you're addressing it.
Yeah.
Because they don't get it. They just think you in their life to make their life miserable. You have to address it and say why you are addressing it. Yeah. And they get it.
Right.
Some do.
They get
it. And some PYTs just think that you're mouthing off, and because they're pretty, the world is at their feet. Mm-hmm. And they've got their makeup done all fine and whatnot, and they just feel like you don't have to tell me anything because I'm too cute to fail at anything.
Right.
So there's that.
Okay.
Well, we've come to the end.
A little past it.
Yeah, we passed it. Good show, you guys. Good season opener.
Yay.
I enjoyed it. I love the platform. Love the comments from all of those who were looking in on us tonight. Do you guys mind if I go back up through some of the comments and just give a shout out to the folks that were commenting? Do you mind, Reg?
You got 1 minute.
How you put a time frame on me?
Well, let me just give a quick shout out to my husband. Tomorrow's our 3-year wedding anniversary. So love you, honey.
I'm gonna start charging for commercials on here, okay? I want to make money. Well, next time you do it, it's gonna cost you $25, okay?
Oh my gosh. All right, so let me do some shout outs, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I'm really hoping that you enjoyed the show. Tonight was our season opener, and what better way to do it than to open with Real World News TV with Reggie Kearney and Miss Terry Ann Tappan. I was sitting in for Mr. Derek Terry tonight, but let me do this before we go. Barbara says happy anniversary to you, Miss Jarrett. So
thank you, Barbara.
Let me shout out to everybody who had sat in with us tonight. Hang on, you guys. I'm trying to find how I'm getting that off of my screen. Anyway, I can't even get it off. Okay, there you go. So let me shout out to Miss Barbara Taylor, Jacqueline Price, Anthony Seal, Colleen Adele Rivet. Who else? Rivet. Oh, French. Who else was up here? I said Anthony Seal. I said Barbara. Oh, you guys were writing your tails off tonight. Oh, Miss Kumar. Good to see you, Miss Kumar. I just hired. I love her. She's a great lady. And let's see. I can't go that far up because Reggie said that I have 1 minute. Derek Terry actually commented tonight. And thanks for letting me sit in for you, Mr. Terry. I enjoyed it. But for all of those who did not comment and who were just watching in, again, we do thank you for your support and for viewing us. And I'm hoping that you'll like Real World News TV on Facebook. Make sure you do that so that you get all the information on the shows each week. You can join Real World News TV right here every Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Central, and 8:30 on the East Coast. Make sure that you come on back tomorrow night. Tomorrow is the season opener for Hot Topics Talk Radio with me, Yvonne Baker, and Mr. Chris Smith. Anything you guys want to say before we get out of here?
Good night.
Oh, wait. No. Make sure you head on over to our website at hottopicstalkradio.com. Catch up on some of the past shows, and you'll see the shows as they come on and all that good stuff on YouTube. So, you guys, thanks a lot for everything. We really appreciate your support. Good night, everybody. You ready to get out of here, Reg? I know you are.
Yeah, I got a 4 o'clock wake up call. Talk to y'all later. Hey.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Real World News TV with Chair Ann Tappan and Reggie Kearney. And next week, Mr. Derek Terry will be back with us. So again, view the show every Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Central, and 8:30 on the East Coast. It's been a blast, and thank you so much for your continued support. We'll see you back here next week. Good night, everybody.